All right, appreciate you joining us this afternoon here. Really pleased with the start of spring football. We had our sixth practice on Saturday, and we're really kind of in the process, I think, of going through and reevaluating spring. I think as a whole, college football. I know it's been a big emphasis in a lot of the committees we've had and head coaches meetings, and just trying to look at the big picture of the calendar from start to finish. I know the NFL is doing the same thing, and evaluating fall camp and how that looks, and spring football and how that looks, and how we train, and the hitting and the pounding on the body and all that kind of effect. So we're probably going to continue to evaluate that even throughout this spring and use. So I know some other programs are going some different methods of utilizing these 15 days. So we went ahead and had a scrimmage on Saturday. Wasn't a full scrimmage. It was probably half of the time was spent in that mode to create some game-like situations. And we did go live, which I think is very, very important. So, but at the same time, just really trying to really have long staff discussions about what it's going to look like moving forward. And so with that, I just thought it was a really good next step for us. We actually had 3 practices prior to spring break, where we usually have had 4 in the past. We have already utilized all of our cloth practices, as we call them, per NCAA rules, where we just wear spiders and helmets only. I've already done 3 of those of the 6, and so 2 in shells, and then the one Saturday, as we said, was in full pads. So just thought that like the flow we're in as we're making some adjustments, with new coordinators and different things. But at the same time, really love the energy of our guys, the focus of our guys. Obviously got new coaches. Adam Henry's his first time being with us here this past week. Just really excited about him. Just a great fit for us in his coaching philosophy. Is love his demeanor, love the way he coaches our guys, and just the confidence he brings and the experience he brings, and is elite and special. And I think he's just got a great heart for our players, and that's what I want. So really excited about all the new guys we've got, but obviously he's the newest one we've had as well. And so, and just being able to grow our staff and bring in guys that fit with us and help us continue to build our program, and also have added Rod Carey to our quality control staff, and really excited about him. And I know he played here, loves Indiana. Just want to welcome his family. He's going to be really assisting us on defense, and also assisting me as head coach with all his experience that he's had. And just once again, it's guys that love this place and want to help us continue to build the program and build what we're doing here as a football team. So really encouraged by the progress we're making with our guys this spring. Got practice number 7 in the morning. We'll be back in shells, and then again Thursday, and then Saturday as well. So just continue to get better as we progress through each one of these practices. Questions?
How has all that gotten along? How have you guys, in particular with Chad, done as far as just setting up what the parameters of that sort of relationship, that dynamic are going to be like?
Yeah, that's probably been the biggest thing, just because it is even different than the last time I called it and did not have a person in that role. And I thought it was real important that we did. And the thing that I think has been so good is, we're really aligned in the whole motivational leadership piece with the defense, kind of things that we want to set as cultural expectations with how we practice, and the things we emphasize with takeaway, tackling, effort. That doesn't change, but the organizational part of that is where he really comes into play, and the tackling circuits and the teaching of all that, and the takeaway circuits and the teaching of all that. And he's added some really good things, I thought, to those. It's been really good. And scripting everything, that's really where his role, and then all the walkthroughs, he runs all those with our guys and our staff. And we also have a veteran group of guys on defense that have been here and really know, especially in the back end with Brandon and Jason, have been here for many years with us. And so, but really been encouraged by the progress that they're making there. Obviously, it's the way we kind of do it, just so during the week, most everything is pre-scripted. If we do have a situation where we might call something, like if we just move the ball, or it's more open-ended, then I would have have Chad call that on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and then I do all the calls on the scrimmages. So I did all the live goes on Saturday and called that, and so that's kind of be the way we'll kind of maneuver that and allow that to become a part of our weekly, flow as a staff, and then it allows me to be able to be involved on offense, on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I sit in all those meetings and film reviews with our offense and the different things with that, and then also allows me to be able to be involved defensively. So just I think it's I like it where it's at, and I think Chad's doing a great job, great energy, and just we got a standard of how we want to practice and how we want to play, and he's doing a great job helping us get to that, getting it back to where I know it needs to be.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm okay. From the scrimmage on Saturday, I know you said it's just half a scrimmage, but anybody in particular on either side of the ball kind of stand out, or any positions that you were pleasantly surprised with as far as how they played?
Yeah, I would say just some guys that stuck out. Cam Camper's one that I don't know if it was necessarily just the scrimmage, but it's been that way pretty much probably throughout each one of the practices. This really kind of stuck out to me. Emory Simmons is another one. I think our two running backs as well. Sean Shivers and Josh Henderson. I just think those guys have really, been, they're new, obviously all four of them, but when you go live, you get a chance to see, where those guys are at. I thought, we were able to do some good things up front as well, offensively, to be able to give us some, time to get things done when we need to throw the football and create some creases in the run game. So, but I also felt like we tackled well, and that's something we haven't tackled live since the bucket game, so that's a long time, and I've been working really hard on fundamentals. So I thought the defensive unit would really be more predominantly the backers and the safeties and the corners have most of those plays in space, and so I thought those groups performed solidly. I did think just typical you have mistakes and things you got to correct and all that, but from an offensive perspective, those guys stuck out to me, and I think Noah Pierre's the one on defense continues. We're kind of he's obviously shown a lot of flexibility for us in the past, and even Maurice Freeman's a guy that's coming along. I think the more live we go, the more he shows, and I think Caden Turner made some. It seems like it's one of those for a guy like Caden. Whenever we go and just play football, and he didn't have to think as much. He just he makes plays, and that's what you're looking for. And same with Jordan Greer, another guy that's young and needs to continue to grow and develop, and I think that's. Super positive for us, and so I just got to continue to bring these guys along. And then on the front, Miles Jackson continues to flash and show bursts of both athleticism as well as just strength. And I really like the way he's playing right now, and now he's, making us better.
What have you seen, Coach, from the quarterbacks so far in camp? Their grasp and how they're competing against one another?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's really solid. They're learning, a new offense, and that's always challenging without question. But I thought that Jack and Connor kind of stood out, on Saturday, as far as making plays and grasp of the offense, and as Donovan keeps getting reps, and Dexter's another one that's just kind of, he flashed to me, and just because he's been out for so long, and his athleticism I thought showed, and then also his arm strength, so it's a good group of guys there, and Grant's getting lots of reps and a chance to keep competing with all those guys, and you got a group of guys right now that's pushing each other in a lot of those meetings with them, and Coach Bell does a great job challenging them and really getting them mentally ready to be, I like the edge he has about him as he runs that room and runs our offense, and expectations he has for their performance, and to me it's reflective of that, and that's what you got to have. I think you kind of coach them like coach linebackers, and put them under a lot of pressure and stress, and create that ability to not be flustered or not be negatively impacted by the craziness of a game.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to go back to the spring calendar a little bit. What's your current thinking on kind of the pros and cons of having a traditional public spring game, and how are you seeing that
Yeah, it's changing. And it's kind of started changing a few years ago. And I think the pandemic kind of really caused us to make a lot of just take a step back and evaluate even just spring football in general. I just think that I know there's some programs I've talked to and coaches where they're not even practicing the way we used to practice for spring ball, in terms of the live goes with your guys. And if you notice the last several years, even before the pandemic, that some of the spring games have become just kind of like tag or not much live tackling. And it's just really kind of, for me, I want to be able to have 15 great days of us getting better. You only got so many days because you can't do that stuff with your guys in the summertime, and we only have so many opportunities for that. So to me, I do think there's a shifting that's happening, and being able to, and you just got to do what's best for your program. You got to do what you feel your guys need, and we got a lot of guys dinged up last year. Even and it started in spring football, and it just continued. And so it just you go through. We had a lot of meetings about this, and have had Coach Wellman has been a part of an NFL study, and it continues to be a part of those as well. And we're using his expertise in that as part of our decision making. And as you go through and evaluate that part, it's like I said, it's a calendar thought process. But I do think you're going to see that shifting as we move forward, and it's probably starting this year.
Tom, you've got a lot of seniors on this team like Taiwan and Monster, and I guess even Matt Bedford to some extent, who've been through a couple of years of really good stuff and then had to deal with last year.
Yep.
What are you seeing from them this spring in regards from the mentality of it all, in regards to that sort of sense of urgency to making sure to get this thing turned right back around real quickly?
Yeah, I think leaning heavily on them. And, those guys you just mentioned there, the core of the guys that came to see me right after the last game of the season, in my office that Sunday morning and just really saying, Coach, this isn't going to happen again, And so, there's an urgency from them. There's a lot of strong leadership from them. Cam Jones is one of the most vocal guys about that. Monsters one you mentioned in Taiwan, and Jalen Williams and Matt Bedford, and even I tell you what, a guy that's really stepped up to me, is AJ Barner. Even though he's younger per se, there's a maturity to him. He was here, and was a part and saw the things done a certain way, his first year here, and then obviously experienced last year and how knows how that felt, and those guys all know how that felt, and they don't want that again, So I think it's created a different urgency without a doubt, and it's going to affect the way our summer goes, some things we're going to do over the summer, and they understand what has to happen, and so that excites me, but that's what you need. You need guys that have been there through the ups and the downs, and that gives them a maturity, but it also creates an urgency. And there's no doubt we got a lot of new faces as well, but we also got a lot of strong leadership and guys that have decided maybe even to come back for this additional year when they could have gone on to the NFL and pursued that and said, you know what, no, I want to finish the job here and make sure that my last season here is special. So those guys are at the forefront of that, which excites me. Hey.
What two position groups do you think are the strongest right now, and what would you pick as the two position groups that have the most work to do between now and season opener?
Yeah, that's a good question. From a numbers perspective, you'd have to say the quarterback room has because we haven't had that, for a while, to be able to have that many guys that are competing, so that gives you a lot of positives to work through on that side of the ball, and I think the receiver room probably has the most to prove just because of the opposite of that. You got a lot of new faces, and it's a position that didn't perform even close to the level that I expected them to in the fall, and I think anybody, and themselves included, and then there's no question that the offensive line is always going to be, to me, it's a huge focal point. We got to get better, got to play better, got to prepare better, do like things I'm seeing from that group without question, but at the same time, and that's just a constant to me that'll be a constant focus, because that's where it's big men lead the way. You got to have that group leading you on both sides of the football, and then you flip defensively. I think our secondary would be one of our strengths. For this team, and I think with the D line having so many new faces, I'd say probably that'd be the one you got to focus on the most. And I like the group, and I think we're a lot bigger up in that side of the ball than we were a year ago, which I knew was by design. That's the guys that we brought here, and the transfers we brought in were picked for that reason, but they need to continue to develop it, and I thought they've had a really good start, and Coach Randolph's done a great job with them, and I tell you, J.H. Tevis is a guy that I know I didn't mention him before, but not just as a player only, but you're talking a Cal graduate, that's here now getting his MBA, very mature. But I want him in that room, even though he's not been here, and he's proven to me to be a guy that can step up and lead. But that's a group that the D-line group has to be, to me, a difference makers for us in stopping the run and creating pressure. So those would be the ones that stick out to me.
Tom, you kind of mentioned Walt a little bit. How are you seeing just the new offensive staff gel together? Obviously, there's a couple guys back in Coach Eller and Coach Wright, but how are you seeing that group create kind of a chemistry? How are they working together? How is that all sort of falling?
Yeah, that's a good question. You got 3 of the 5 new faces in there, and new personalities, and then guys that 2 of them had worked together before. With Adam and Craig, but with obviously Walt being the new leader, and everybody else meshing together. I like what I'm seeing. Obviously it's time is the biggest indicator of all these things. And it gets revealed how it truly is. But from my perception and involvement and observation of practice, just what I just see is just a group of unselfish guys that don't care who gets credit, because it's not about them, and they're just doing everything they can do to make sure their guys are improving every single day, and they're buying into the new system and buying into everything we're doing with Coach Bell's leadership, and being able to work well together. And I think you're not scheming as a staff right now against an opposing defense per se, but you're doing a lot of install, and you're definitely sharing ideas and going through things, and like I said, I think when you got a bunch of humble guys that are really working hard for each other and for the betterment of the team, that's what you want. And you got to have a strong leader, and that's what Coach Bell is, by personality and by vision and by what he has. As I always say, and was taught this years ago, that you have conviction in your leadership when it's based on a vision of perfection, when you know exactly what you're looking for and what it's supposed to look like, and that's what the leader's job is. And so that's what Coach Bell's job is to really be able to articulate that vision and what he wants and how he wants it done on a consistent basis, and then they got to buy into that as a staff, and getting their guys to practice extremely hard. And we've tried to really go back to just basics and fundamentals of how we're going to block the right way, how we're going to do a great job fundamentally in the skill positions in space, and so coach is a big part of that, and those guys got to buy into that, and they have, and I feel like there's I like what I'm seeing from them, but obviously we're not playing against opponents yet, and you're not as stressed as regard to that, but as far as just personality wise and energy and just togetherness, that's been been really good to see, and I just expect that to continue to grow.
Tom, yeah, just to follow up on Dustin's question there a little bit. In regards to a new offense and a new offensive coordinator and such, how much of the install is new language or new thoughts or routines? And that is it dramatically different from what we've seen? And then secondly, how much involvement have you had with that? I know you're trying to take on more of a role in the defense this year too. Have you had enough involvement to your satisfaction with that as well?
Yeah, I feel like I have, from what I want to be able to be involved. I would say there's a lot of changes. Yeah, I would say that's a significant amount of changes, and by design, and that's what I wanted. And as we went through and made these decisions to make these changes, and so a lot of ownership from that, from Coach Bell, and as he brings things to us. So, and I say that in regards to there's still certain conceptual things you do, run game wise, and in regards to what you may call some things a little different, but you do have. But there's no question there's significant change in the passing game and the run game and all the different things we're doing. So that to me is really what is important, is now that we learn to master those and execute those, and that's really what it's going to come down to as an offensive staff. Because at the end of the day, it's about scoring points. I mean, that's the bottom line. You got to protect the football and score points, and you do that by creating explosive plays in the run game and the throw game. So that's been the focus, and that will continue to be. But yeah, it's some to answer your question, significant changes. Yes.
Right, thanks, Tom.
Awesome. Have a great day, Elio.